Hello, and welcome back to another Rocket Academy video. In this session, we will finish implementing Firebase authentication within our application. We have set up the code to sign the user in and console log the user information. In this session, I will implement the logic to validate if the user is signed in and update the components accordingly. When the user logs in or signs up, we will be given the user object from Firebase authentication. In the previous video, we console logged it from the auth form. We can create a state such that we can use that user information. We will use the onAuthStateChanged method that we grabbed from Firebase auth. We are going to add logic into the app.js, so let's import the required methods and variables at the top of the component now. We import auth from our Firebase.js. This is our auth instance. Then we can import onAuthStateChanged from Firebase/auth. We'll be adding logic within a useEffect hook, so we are going to need to import it alongside our useState method. Now we can create the useEffect method that will check if our user has signed in on Firebase. So implement a useEffect method. Then we'll invoke the onAuthStateChanged method within our useEffect, passing in the auth instance, receiving the user within the callback function. We will invoke the useEffect once on load, so we pass in an empty dependency array. Following this, we can console log our user information after we've received it. Now we can develop a conditional statement to check if we get a user or not. If we do have a user, then we can set is logged in to true. Let's go and check this within our application. So we can try to sign up a new user. Let's give the email of sam@sam.com and a password of sam123. Then we can press sign up and see if it works. It looks like it did. If we check out the console, then we can see the response of the user from the auth form and our useEffect within the app.js. We can see the user email, UID, and other information that we could use within our application. We are able to use our information within our app. So within our JSX, we can develop another conditional statement. If we are logged in, then we want to display some user information. However, we will first need to create a state for our user. So we can develop a new user state using useState. Now we update our onAuthStateChanged callback. If we get a user, then we set our user into our state. Following this, we can further develop our JSX. Now we can develop a H2 tag that contains a welcome message as well as the user's email. Let's check the object that we received in our console to ensure we know what notation to use. Otherwise, we will not render anything out, so we can just write null. Now we can see the message, which is awesome. But if the user is logged in, then we probably want to let them sign out, so we can develop a button to invoke that logic. We will use similar logic as before within our JSX. If the user is logged in, then we want to display something. In this case, we want to display a logout button. We haven't imported the sign out functionality from Firebase, so we will have to go to the top of our component and do this now. At this point, when we log out, we can create an onClick function that does a couple of things. First, we want to set is logged in to false. Then we want to clear the user object. And finally, the last thing we want to do is actually invoke our sign-out method that we got from our Firebase auth. This actually triggers our user to sign out on Firebase. We have to pass in our auth variable that we created in our firebase.js. We'll be passing this into our sign-out that we got from Firebase auth. At this point, we can try to click log out, which seems to have worked, as we can see the auth form again. Now, when I log back in by pressing sign in, we can see the welcome message, the logout button, and the fruit form, along with the fruit list itself. Let's try to add in a new fruit. We will need to add a file first, so let's choose the file coconut. Then I will add both a name and a description. Now we press submit data, and we can see that a coconut was added below. I will log out now, and we can see our posted coconut is still there. This is how we can implement Firebase authentication into our applications. We will need the auth instance and any method from Firebase to trigger actions from our components. Now you can develop users. You'll be able to store user-specific data within our fruit_Firebase app, which allows you to turn static sites into powerful applications. In future sessions, we will cover Firebase hosting, so we'll see you in the next videos.